There is a hidden voice shaping your destiny, and it's not the one you're thinking of. It's not the voice you hear when you speak, when you plan, when you pray. It's the voice behind all of that, the one that whispers before your conscious mind even has a chance to speak. That voice is made of your own words, repeated so often, so quietly, that you no longer hear them, but your subconscious does every time without fail. Scientists have discovered that up to 95% of our brain activity, decisions, emotions, actions, occurs below conscious awareness. In that shadowy space beneath the spotlight of thought lies the true author of our life story. Not the you who sets resolutions and reads self-help books, but the you who was programmed by repetition, emotion, and language long ago. Neuroscience calls this implicit memory. It's how the brain creates mental shortcuts, patterns that help us survive, but also ones that silently sabotage us. Every time you said, "I'm not good enough," your brain carved a groove. Every time you whispered, "This is just who I am," a neural pathway thickened. And every time you spoke those words again, they were written deeper into the script your subconscious still follows. But here's the miracle. The subconscious is not stone. It is soil. And your words are seeds. Neuroplasticity is the divine gift of rewrite. It means the brain is moldable, adaptable, alive. You are not stuck with the story you inherited. You are not forever bound to the words that others planted in your childhood. You can rewrite your internal narrative, not by force, but by grace. Not by shouting new affirmations into the void, but by lovingly whispering new truths into the sacred silence of your inner world. The Gospel of John begins with these words, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Words shape worlds. Spoken language is not mere sound, it is sacred architecture. Every phrase you repeat becomes a pillar in the cathedral of your identity. So the question becomes, what are you building with your words? What story are you reinforcing each time you speak about yourself? Do you say you're tired all the time? That you're unlucky in love? That you can't change? That's not harmless chatter. That's self-hypnosis. That is the subconscious mind receiving instructions and obeying. But if the subconscious can be programmed, then it can also be reprogrammed. And that reprogramming begins with conscious language, with the art of choosing words like sacred instruments. Because every sentence you say about yourself is either a chain or a key. The first step in rewriting your life is awareness. What are the phrases you say out of habit that you don't even question? Listen, truly listen. You'll hear them hiding in small talk, in jokes, in apologies. "I'm so bad with names. I always mess this up. I don't deserve better." Those are not observations. Those are declarations, decrees. And your subconscious treats them as law. So what if you questioned them? What if you became the editor of your internal script instead of its passive actor? The second step is intention. Replace the old words not with generic affirmations, but with personal, emotionally charged truths that feel like a lifeline, not a lie. Don't just say, "I am confident," if you don't feel it. Say instead, "I am learning to trust my own voice more each day." Your subconscious accepts what is repeated with emotion and meaning. Speak in a way that your soul believes you. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Your words are not neutral. They either nourish or poison. They either heal or wound. And the one most affected by your words is you. So the third step is devotion, not discipline. Devotion. Make speaking kindly to yourself a sacred ritual, not because you need to fix something broken, but because you finally recognize your own sacredness. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a child you love. Speak as though the divine is listening, because it is, not from the heavens, but from within. What would change if you began each day whispering, "I am not my past. I am becoming something beautiful"? What would unfold if before you made any big decision, you paused and told yourself, "I am guided by wisdom and grace"? Would your mind begin to believe it? Would your emotions soften? Would your decisions shift? Every great transformation begins with a word that interrupts the old pattern, a word that realigns the soul, a word that feels like remembering than inventing. Who told you that you were unworthy? Who convinced you that you must struggle to earn rest or love or joy? Was it a teacher? A parent? A culture obsessed with proving itself? And more importantly, why are you still carrying their words as your truth? It is not betrayal to put down the script they gave you. It is freedom. It is grace in motion. You are not here to perform a role written for you in childhood. You are here to become the author, and your pen is your tongue. Pause for a moment. Breathe. What is one sentence you speak to yourself daily that you would never say to someone you love? And what new sentence could take its place? The subconscious doesn't care if it's true. It cares if it's repeated. So what if you gave it something beautiful to believe? What if your words became prayers? Not prayers of desperation, but prayers of remembrance, of who you truly are beneath the noise, the soul behind the name, the child behind the mask, the light beneath the trauma. What would happen if you stopped trying to fix yourself and started to speak to yourself as already whole? What if every sentence became a small return home? The subconscious does not resist change. It resists confusion. It clings to familiarity, even if that familiarity is pain. So when you begin to speak new words into old wounds, expect resistance, not because it isn't working, but because it is. When you say, "I am worthy," and a voice inside scoffs, that is not failure. That is an echo, a leftover imprint from a former version of you trying to stay alive. Thank it, acknowledge it, but don't let it lead. That voice is not the enemy. It is the evidence of where you used to live. And every time you speak a new word with courage, you are planting a new home for your soul. You are not denying your past when you speak life into your future. You are transcending it. The Hebrew word ruach means both breath and spirit. In ancient thought, to speak was to breathe spirit into form. What you breathe out becomes the atmosphere you live in. So what kind of air are you filling your inner world with? You cannot live a life of peace with a mouth full of war. You cannot walk in grace while reciting inner violence. So this work, this gentle, sacred work of speaking differently to yourself, is not fluffy. It is holy. It is spiritual warfare, fought not with swords, but with syllables. How many miracles have you unknowingly rejected simply because you said, "That's not for someone like me"? How many doors stayed closed because your words never knocked? There is a neurobiological truth to why words matter. The limbic system, the emotional brain, cannot distinguish between what's vividly imagined and what's real. So when you describe yourself as unlovable, your body reacts as if it's truth. Cortisol rises, muscles tense, patterns repeat. But when you describe yourself as capable, loved, or in progress, the brain shifts. Oxytocin rises, hope is triggered, the possibility of change enters. Not because the outside world has changed, but because the inner narrator has. And here's the paradox. Your words don't need to be loud to be powerful. In fact, the most transformative ones are often whispered, in the quiet moments, in the stillness before sleep, in the breath before a difficult choice. These whispers, repeated with emotion and reverence, begin to lace new neural connections. That is neuroplasticity in action, grace in the language of biology. Slowly, gently, your mind becomes a safer place to live. And when your mind is safe, your life expands. But you must be patient. You are not reprogramming a machine, you are reawakening a soul. This is not about tricking your brain into fake positivity. It's about restoring truth that was buried beneath years of noise. You are not weak for needing repetition. You are wise for choosing it intentionally. The Buddha said, "What we think, we become. What we feel, we attract. What we imagine, we create." But all three, thought, feeling, and imagination, are shaped by language. The words you choose are not just labels, they are lenses. They tint everything you see, including yourself. So if you're tired of living in a story of shame, shift the language that narrates your days. Start small, one phrase at a time. Instead of, "I always mess this up," try, "I'm learning how to navigate this." Instead of, "I'm broken," say, "I'm healing." Instead of, "This is who I am," say, "This is who I was, and I'm becoming more." These are not magic spells, they are inner invitations. You are not forcing yourself to believe, you are opening yourself to remember. You were never born believing you were unworthy. That was taught. And what was taught can be untaught. Every word you choose is a signal to your subconscious, a signal of where to build, where to protect, where to let go. What kind of signals are you sending? What would it feel like to send a message of safety, of love, of permission? Imagine for a moment that your inner child is listening to every word you say about yourself. Would they feel seen, or would they feel ashamed? Speak not to your ego. Speak to that inner child. Speak to the tender, ancient part of you that is still waiting to be chosen. And what is the language of choosing? It is the whisper of presence. The phrase, "I'm here with you now." The sentence, "I see you trying." The sacred reminder, you don't have to earn love. It already lives in you. Can you feel the shift even now? Because even these words, as you listen, are beginning to stir something. Not because they're mine, but because something in you recognizes them as home. Because deep down, you've always known you were not your wounds. You were the one who witnessed them. And the witness holds the power to speak a new reality into being.
If language is the code of the mind, then silence is the doorway of the soul. But it's in that silence that your words echo loudest. Not the words you speak to others, the ones you speak when no one is around, the words you mutter under your breath when you fail, the words that slip out when you look in the mirror. These are the hidden mantras of your life. They form the architecture of your inner world. And your subconscious, without judgment, without resistance, builds your reality based on their blueprint. If that blueprint was written by fear, what kind of house have you built? If it was written by shame, is it any wonder you feel small inside your own story? But what if you rewrote it with compassion? What if you spoke to yourself as someone worthy of grace, not just growth? In the ancient Upanishads, it is written, "You are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny." Desire becomes will. Will becomes word. Word becomes deed, and all of it becomes you. This isn't just metaphysics. This is neuropsychology. Repetition of thought infused with emotion and belief rewires the brain's internal maps. It rewrites your internal GPS. So the destination changes, but only if you keep driving the new route. This is why many fail at reprogramming. They speak one new sentence once and expect transformation, but the subconscious doesn't respond to novelty. It responds to consistency, to emotion, to repetition, the same way a child learns a lullaby. So how do you begin? Step 1, create space for listening. Sit in silence each morning and ask, what am I believing about myself today? Don't answer with your intellect. Let the feeling rise from your body, from your breath, from the ache behind your eyes. That is where the script lives. That is where the old words hide. Step 2, speak new words out loud, not just in your head. Your voice carries frequency, vibration, resonance. What you speak aloud registers differently in the brain than what you merely think. And the more senses you engage, voice, hearing, emotion, the deeper the pattern embeds. Choose 3 new phrases to repeat daily. Write them, say them, feel them. But say them as if you're speaking not just to yourself, but to something holy within you, because you are. Step 3, anchor your words with emotion. The subconscious remembers what the heart feels. So speak your new truths not like a checklist, but like a love letter, a promise, a vow. Speak them with trembling if you must. Speak them through tears. That's where the rewiring happens, not in perfection, but in presence. And then, watch your life begin to shift. Not overnight, not with fireworks, but like dawn, quietly, steadily, irreversibly.
You'll notice that old fears no longer pull as tightly, that old stories no longer stick, that you respond with more gentleness, that opportunities begin to open, not because the world changed, but because your lens did. You rewrote the words that created your world, and the world had no choice but to respond, because your subconscious, though unseen, is not silent. It is the magnet behind every pattern, the architect behind every outcome, the shadow writer of your destiny. But it listens to you, and it listens closely. So, what will you say? Right now, in this very moment, what phrase are you ready to release? And what new truth are you ready to plant? You don't need to believe it fully yet. You just need to begin. Even a whisper is enough to crack stone. Even one true word spoken with love can break a generational curse. This is not just mental work. This is soul work. This is a homecoming. So take a breath, close your eyes, and repeat after me. I am not my past. I am not my pain. I am not the words others gave me. I am the one who chooses what stays. I am the author now. I speak life. I speak healing. I speak truth. And I trust my soul is listening. Now open your eyes. The world is waiting for the story only you can tell. And that story begins with your next word. What will it be?